Here are solutions to homework set number 4 for ECE 111. This homework set looks at using Matlab to solve problems that you encounter when you take linear algebra, specifically how to solve n equations, n unknowns, and curve fitting. So the first problem is that I have two equations, two unknowns, solved using Matlab. Matlab is a matrix language. Matlab is exceedingly good at handling matrices. So the matrix approach, that's what you covered in linear algebra, is to rewrite this in matrix form. With a matrix, I've got, call this the B matrix, call this A. I've got B times my unknowns is A, but multiplied by B inverse, X is B inverse times A. So the matrix representation is, if I put the unknowns as X and Y, the first column is times X, the second column times Y. So 7X plus 6Y plus 2 equals 2 is written as 7 times X plus 6 times Y is 2. The second equation, 3 times X plus 5 times Y is 5. To solve, throw the matrices into Matlab. So here's the B matrix. First row is 7, 6. Next row, 3, 5. Here's the A matrix. Inverse of B times A is your answer. And kind of note, order matters. If I were to input A as a 2 by 5 matrix, or 1 by 2 matrix, it wouldn't work. I'd get an error message in Matlab. With matrices, the dimensions matter. I can multiply a 2 by 2 times a 2 by 1, but you can't do a 2 by 2 times 1 by 2. The inner dimensions have to match. So you got to watch whether these are row matrices, column matrices. It makes a difference. Problem 2. 3 equations, 3 unknowns. If I write the unknowns this way, so there's B, call this matrix A. The first column is times X, second column times Y, third column times Z. So the first equation is 4X plus 2Y minus 2Z is minus 6. The second equation, 3 times X minus 5 times Y plus 6 times Z is 2. Third equation, 2X minus 3Y is 9. And if there's an empty element, you can't leave it empty. That's where 0 goes. Once I put that in matrix form, throw in Matlab. Here's the B matrix, first row, second row, third row, A matrix, inverse B times A. And problem 3, 4 equations, 4 unknowns. Again, if I write it as A, B, C, D, here's the first equation, minus 2A, minus 3B, plus 2C, plus 5D is minus 5. Repeat for equations 2, 3, 4. Throw this into Matlab. Solve. Here's your answer. So Matlab is really, really good at solving n equations and unknowns. That makes engineering a little bit different than when I was in school. Back when I was in school, Matlab didn't exist. So solving 3 equations, 3 unknowns by hand is really, really painful. You would do whatever trick you could trying to keep it down to 2 equations, 2 unknowns. Now, with Matlab, I don't really care. If I wind up with 4 equations, 4 unknowns, Matlab can handle it. 10 equations, 10 unknowns, Matlab can handle it. What's important now is get the equations right. Once they get the equations, put in matrix form, Matlab can solve. So that's the first 3 problems. That's basically what Math 129 is all about. It's solving n equations, n unknowns, plus other stuff to fill it out to 3 credits. But really, that's the heart of it. And you're going to be using this over and over for the next 4 years. If I can take a problem and reduce it to n equations, n unknowns, that I can solve using Matlab. Slightly different problem. Suppose I have more equations than unknowns. For example, here I've got global CO2 levels since 1958. This is like 600 data points. Can I come up with a parabolic curve fit? Say CO2 is roughly AY squared plus BY plus C. I've got 3 unknowns, but I've got 600 data points. How do I come up with the best line, the best value of A, B, and C? This is called least squares curve fitting. The trick is if I can write this as try that again. B times x equals a. I cannot invert b. In this case, b is like a 600 by 3 array. X is just going to be a, b, and c. So I can't just solve for x, but the trick is multiplying the left by b transpose. I can do the same thing to both sides. With matrices, matrix multiplication is not commutative. So I have to note that I'm multiplying the left or the right. They're different. Once multiplied by b transpose, this is a 3 by 600 matrix. The result is a 3 by 3. You can usually invert a 3 by 3 matrix. So if I multiply by b transpose b inverse, that'll clear out this guy right here. And what you get is x. X is b transpose b inverse b transpose a. That's the least squares curve fit. This is used all the time in engineering. Anytime you have lab data and want to curve fit it, this is least squares. Works really well with matrices. And the next couple of problems are, let's look at some real data and curve fit it, rather than just made up data. If I go to Bison Academy, you can pull up some data. For example, from Matlab Observatory, they've been measuring CO2 levels for the last 56 years. If I bring in that data and then throw it into Matlab, with the data, the third column is the year, the fourth column is the CO2 level. Set up my basis. I want to do a parabolic curve fit, so the first basis element is year squared. The second one is year and 1. And here the trick I'm using is anything to the 0 power is 1. Then my unknown is b transpose b inverse b transpose, in this case y is CO2. That gives me my unknowns. That's a, b, and c for up here. That's the least squares curve fit. If I then plot it, plot year versus CO2 as a blue line, year versus curve fit as a red line. There's my curve fit for the data. And you can see it matches pretty darn well. That's least squares curve fitting. Once you have that data, I can do stuff with it. Like, when is the CO2 level going to reach 400 parts per million? Well, I can see that on the graph. 400 parts per million is right here. That's about the year 2012. I can solve using Matlab. That's the roots command. Problem with roots is roots doesn't solve function equals 400, it solves function equals 0. So rewrite the problem, bring the 400 left, and I get this. When is that equal to 0? That's roots. So I'm going to take my a, so capital A, what that represents are 3 numbers. That's my a, b, and c. I want to subtract 400, which is 0, 0, 400. Subtract nothing from a, subtract nothing from b, subtract 400 from c. Now find the roots. And what I get is the year we should hit 400 parts per million. That's about the year 2014. Matches up with the graph. Let's try 800 parts per million. That's off the graph. That's extrapolating into the future. We should hit 800 parts per million in about the year 2122, about 100 years from now. 1200 parts per million, about 2188. What that's telling me is if nothing changes, that's what we can expect in the future. Fargo temperature. To get the data set, just go to Bison Academy. Under 111 in this course, scroll down, lecture 4. Here is the temperature of Fargo. There's the data. Just copy and paste it into Matlab. The first column is year. The 14th column is your data. Pull that into Matlab and then analyze it. So here, first column is year, 14th column, I call it degrees F. My basis for linear curve fit is just year and 1. Same trick as before, anything to the 0 power is 1. To solve for For constants, it's inverse of B transpose B, B transpose times Y, or degrees up in this case. And there's my constants. There's the slope, there's the offset. Anytime you have data, it's nice to plot it. Simply plot the year versus degrees up in blue, that's the raw data. Year versus curve fit in red, that's my linear curve fit. That kind of shows, based upon this data, it looks like Fargo's warming up. To see how much it warmed up, I can say, well, the first element is the slope. What is A of 1, the slope, times 80? Or I can say, let's take 1942, 2022, take the difference, 3.4 degrees. Easier way to do that would just be, what is the slope? A of 1 times 80. And I get the same answer. So it looks like Fargo's warmed up about 3.4 degrees over the last 80 years. I can extrapolate. In the future, what will it be in 2045? Well, here's my curve fit. This is my A. Well, this is the slope. Here's my basis is year and 1. A is your A and B. So plug in the year 2045 and 1 times A, I get about 44.3 degrees. And 2075, the average temperature in Fargo we predict will be 45.6. As part of the reason for curve fitting, I can extrapolate and see what's happening in the future. Problem 6 and 7. Go to the National Sea and Ice Data Center, and you can pull out data, or on Bison Academy, pull in the data. This is the sea ice level year by year. The first column is year, second column is the minimum ice level for that year. Set up the basis for linear curve fit is just year and 1. Curve fit, inverse of B transpose B, B transpose Y. We kind of beat this to death for this homework set. That's your least squares curve fit. There's your A and B. Then if I plot it, the blue line is the raw data, the red line is my curve fit. What I can do with that is find out when is the Arctic going to be ice-free, first time in 5 million years. Assuming a linear curve fit, we should be ice-free in about the year 2075. If I repeated with parabolic curve fit, just change the basis. If I now do a basis of year squared, year and 1, do least squares curve fit, I get 3 terms. This is the square term, B and C. Plot it. You see there's a little bit of bend in it. That's the parabolic curve fit. A linear curve fit says the same amount of ice melts each year. Parabolic curve fit says the amount of melting each year increases at a constant rate. Assuming a parabolic curve fit will be ice-free in about the year 2064. Exactly when it will be, we don't really know for sure. We're going to find out. But probably between the year 2064 and 2075, the Arctic will be ice-free. Last problem set. NASA Goddard has been monitoring global temperatures since 1880. If I take the data since 1970 and go forward, what's going to happen? So let's do a linear curve fit. Grab the data since 1970 onward, paste it into Matlab, pull out the first column, that's the year. The second column is the temperature deviation. Do a linear curve fit, plot it, and that's my linear curve fit for the data since 1970. What that means is I can extrapolate. Based upon a linear curve fit in the year 2045, we should be about 1.4 degrees warmer in Celsius. 2075, about 1.98 degrees warmer. And to find out when we're 6 degrees warmer, that's the roots command. Again, A has 2 terms, so this is your constant and offset. We should be 6 degrees warmer in about the year 2283. Finally, if I did a parabolic curve fit, this is for all years. How many did all years or 1970? Either one's fine. It was supposed to be 1970, but forgot to change that. if you follow the directions and do all years, import all the data, do a curve fit, plot it, and that's my parabolic curve fit. Based upon the data, I should be at 1.45 degrees in 2045, 2.26 degrees in 2075, or hit 6 degrees Celsius in 2172. So that is homework set number 4. It's using Matlab and matrices to solve. If I have n equations, n unknowns, that's pretty easy. That's just matrix inverse. If I have data like this and want to curve fit it, that's least squares curve fitting. And Matlab is really, really good at matrices. You can curve fit anything. The last problem isn't graded just because it's too controversial. Well, it's too political. But if you search the web, there are different sites that will talk about what happens with different temperatures. 1 degree, based upon the last problem's curve fit with parabolic curve fit, we should hit that in 2024. What that means is we've already hit it. You're going to have river flows decrease, crop production is affected. 2 degrees, about 2065. It's going to be too hot to take vacations to the Mediterranean or Gulf of Mexico in the U.S. You start getting crop failures in Africa, Central America, flooding. 3 degrees, you start getting crop failures in China. Collapse of equatorial governments, that's about the year 2098. 4 degrees, Spain becomes a desert, Mexico becomes a desert, mass migrations, rainforests burn up, bad. 6 degrees, basically really bad. That's what the data is saying. This is one of the reasons to be an engineer. If you don't like what's happening, what the trend is, we need to change what we're doing. This is one of the reasons the Paris Climate Accord was trying to get us to move away from fossil fuels. That's going to be next week's topic in 111. How do you get away from fossil fuels? It's absolutely vital. If we want to avoid this future, we got to get away from greenhouse gases, got to get away from fossil fuels. Great thing about electrical engineering is we're one of the majors that will help us do that. You've got wind, solar, batteries, renewable energy, electric vehicles. That's what we'll talk about next week. There is hope. But the main point for this week's homework is Matlab. Matlab is really good at matrices. It is really good at curve fitting. It is really good at solving n equations and unknowns. And that's homework set number 4 for 111.